channel, and today we are going to be talking about Scream 3.
You are dealing with the concluding chapter of a trilogy. 1. You got a killer who's going to be superhuman. Number 2. Anyone, including the main character, can die. This means you, Sid.
So this film came out in 2000, and I know that this is like the most hated movie of the franchise, and it's definitely always up there as one of like the worst movies in horror franchises. Everyone really seems to hate on Scream 3, but personally I don't hate it as much as I feel like everybody else does. Maybe I'm biased because it is my favorite trilogy, but I feel like this one really gets such a heavy amount of hate that I don't necessarily agree with. Well, yes, it is not the greatest movie. I do think that it still deserves some credit. For one thing in particular, it still manages to address the state of media versus real life crimes, which at the time of its release, the filmmakers received a lot of backlash due to the Columbine shootings, which had just happened the year previously. That is one thing Scream has always done. It has always tackled this idea of media versus real life crimes, and that you can't blame the movies for people's real life actions.
Now, Sid, don't you blame the movies! Movies don't create psychos! Movies make psychos or create blood!
Even throughout the film, the actors of Stab 3 address the fact that they are being blamed for the current murders that are taking place, and even though when filming Scream 3 they did have to cut back on the amount of kills, which they kind of already did in Scream 2, which I did talk a little bit about in that review. They also did obviously have to cut back on the teenagers, which I'll also get into, but even with cutting all of that out, they still managed to call out how ridiculous blaming media is for real life violence. Though it is hard to really have a slasher film without the teenagers, it makes sense for Scream because these films follow Sydney and of course Dewey and Gale, and Sydney is now an adult. She's graduated college, I'm assuming. I never really tackle that between the films, but you know, for purposes, she's graduated. She, is unfortunately living on her own and isolating herself, but she is an adult, so it makes sense that the characters you're going to be following are adults and no longer teenagers. And although I do tend to defend Scream 3, I do agree with the majority of people that the plotline and settings of Scream 3 do fall a little flat, taking it from the small town of Woodsboro to the big Hollywood does kind of ruin that slasher film setting that we're all kind of used to and love, and the actors from Stab 3 are kind of boring. You don't really care that much about them, so when they are killed off, it doesn't have that same impact as it does with the previous films when you do care a little bit more about these characters. Now, let's talk about the twists, so to speak, of this film. First, I'm going to talk about the Sydney's ghost mom plot. That I do agree with was horrible. I am definitely not a fan of that. I did not need that haunting element to my slasher films. That is not what I am there for. If I wanted to watch a haunting film, I would watch a haunting film. I'm here to watch a slasher, and I get that Sydney's going through some shit, and I get that the third one's about the past coming back to haunt you, so to speak, but it's just an annoying, unneeded element to the film, in my opinion, as well as just her entire backstory. This whole thing of her being this wannabe actress that moves to Hollywood and then gets impregnated just didn't sit well with me. Still doesn't. Not a storyline that was really all that interesting. And really the only benefit that comes from that is Roman himself. I actually happen to like him as a killer. I happen to like his character, and he's one of my favorite killers, surprisingly enough, even though I still don't like how he comes into frame, I guess. I feel like the whole stepbrother storyline, again, not something that I really enjoy, as well as I feel like most people. But I still like him as a killer. I just wish there could have been another way that they could have gone about connecting those characters. How? I'm not sure. I'm not a film writer, but I just, like with most people, am not a fan of the half-sibling storyline. And really, the whole entire process of he has to become a director for this film. It's just a lot to go through for one person to try to kill Sydney. And I get that he doesn't know where she is, so he has to find a way to kind of bring her out of the shadows. It's just, again, it's a lot of work for one person to go through. I'm pretty sure there was easier ways he could have found her. I mean, he's smart. He has clearly the technology to set and the ability to set up all of this that he has to go through just to get her. I think he could have done it a better way. And the last kind of annoyance part that I'm gonna pick apart for this film is Sydney herself, or the lack thereof. Now, I understand that Neve Campbell was quite busy during the filming of this. I believe that she was still doing Party 5, and she had another film that she was working on, so she didn't really have the time to be completely involved in this, which obviously had the impact of how much time she was going to spend in the film. And that is just another thing. You know, Sydney is the real main focus of these films. She, aside from Ghostface, she is Scream, and you know, she's who we're really there to follow. And I feel like that is just another thing that shows that this film maybe should have just been put on hold. There was so much against this film when it was coming out, and when they were filming it. Again, of course, the events from the year before with Columbine, you have Neve Campbell being extremely busy at the time. They ended up having 3 different scripts for this film, just to try and prevent it from being ruined. You know, again, there was just so much against this film at the time, and I feel like they just felt this pressure to get a 3rd one out, and they shouldn't have. They should have just waited, should have said, okay, maybe now's not the time, we just put this on hold, and then they could have come back, revamped it maybe a year later. I don't know, but it's just one of those movies that, even though I do defend it and I will still watch it, I will still include it in my Scream marathon. I know there's people out there that skip it. I still include it. It's just a film that maybe shouldn't have happened at the time that it did. So let me know what you guys think about Scream in the comments below. If you did enjoy this review, please do give it a big old thumbs up, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button for more horror-related content. And before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon. Thank you guys so much for helping to contribute to the channel. If you want to know the perks to being a Patreon, links are in the description below, along with all of my other social media, and I'll see you guys later with another video.